Me.
Okay.
Oh, hello there. This is Dr. Karen, and I am the founder and executive director of Empowering People with Invisible Chronic Illness Foundation, but you guys know us as the Epic Foundation. I'm so happy for those of you who can join us today. And I want to welcome a very special guest who I will introduce right now. I'm so excited to have her on, and I really, really hope that you can join us so that you can also meet her as well. This is Maria, and she is our Director of Member Services for the Epic Foundation. And we'll get into a little bit about that a little later on in terms of what that means for us and for you guys. But I am really, really, really excited to have Maria on. So, welcome.
Thank you. So happy
This
to
is
be here.
Thank you so much. This is our first membership Mondays with Maria, and we will be doing this on a pretty consistent basis. So I really hope that you guys can continue to join us. Those of you who are already members of the Epic Foundation, as well as those of you who will hopefully become members of the Epic Foundation. So the first thing is today I really just want to give you guys a chance to get to know Maria personally. And I'm so blessed to have her on board with us. I could go on and on and on about you, but I'm not going to take up all this time telling your story because it is your story to tell. I believe there's power in our voices. And so I am so excited for your empowered presence here today. Um, so thank you so much for joining. Um, I want to start out by asking you what it is you would like to share with our audience about who you are. Well, let's start there. Who are
Oh
you?
gosh. Now you know that that's a loaded question because
That's
I
all
am
right.
not short on words.
We got some time. We got some time.
So I'll start by saying I am Maria Weathers. I am a mom of two. I've joined this journey, well, officially a few months ago, late 2020. But I have been having my own epic journey since 2011 when I became ill from a workplace injury. That injury, it was mold and chemical exposure, which led to an onset of many respiratory illnesses, and then the illnesses that are derived from those initial illnesses, illnesses that I'm now steroid prednisone dependent. Because of that, I have diabetes, high blood pressure, Cushing's, thyroid issues, the respiratory issues that landed me hospitalized multiple times a year, life support 6 times. Just it's probably easier to tell what I don't have than, than what I do, because if it's not the illness itself, it's the illnesses that come because of the medications that they're their own worst nightmare, but without them, we wouldn't be here. So, a gift and a curse is what I always say. They're the gift and a curse. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm here primarily is because I realized that when going through this journey, um, you have so many people in your tribe. That's what I call my community, my tribe. But I lacked people who understood where I was coming from. And people, they were empathetic, they were sympathetic. They always wanted to be available, but it was something that I needed that I couldn't get because they just could not understand.
Mhm.
And it was by luck. My sister, my younger sister, hey Becky, she was in touch with someone named Gina, and I
Mhm.
still don't even understand how Gina fits into the story. And that's just how God works. He places people strategically for a purpose.
That's right.
Gina linked me to Dr. Karen. And I don't speak with Gina. I mean, she's my Facebook friend and I don't speak to her, but I believe that she was placed to link me with Dr. Karen. And I followed Dr. Karen for a while silently. Like, she was my best friend in my head, my Shiro, all these things. And when I had the opportunity to come on board, it would have been nothing less than robbery of myself to not get in and serve in a capacity that I needed and that I utilized her in silence for so many years. So, you know, Dr. Karen mentioned that we would talk about member services, but it's more than just that. I find that when you are on board with such an organization, you wear many hats and you become what the people need you to be when they need you to be it. And I think Epic sets itself aside because we are humans connecting with humans, and doing what's right as humans. We're not a number. We don't think of our members as numbers. We want you to use us. We have phone numbers, direct lines, because we want you to reach out to us. You know, we share and encourage you guys to share because we don't feel bothered in this journey. We don't look at it as burden at all. We count it robbery if you don't utilize us, because we feel that as much as, you know, everyone has a higher being, everyone has um, um, someone, a higher self, but however you got here, whatever brought you here, it was for a reason and for a purpose. And we want to serve in a capacity to help you because we know that this is a unique, it's a unique journey. It's one that many people will find themselves into, through one phase of life or another, or if just serving as caregivers is something that hits us all at one point in time. And the saying goes, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. If you're already linked in to such an organization and such a foundation, you won't find yourself scrambling or pulling at straws when you are in need personally for that tribe, for that community.
Yes, I love the word community and I love your passion. I love everything about you, first of all. But let me just tell you, yes, thank God for Gina. And I definitely agree that God will put people in your path for reasons unknown to us much of the time. And connecting us was definitely a part of a part of his plan for us. Rather, I want to say that I've been following your journey for quite some time. And, you know, I'm just so humbled by you being my friend, but also by you being a part of this organization with all your fire and all your passion. And I am just so grateful. You gave us just a glimpse of your story. And as time goes on, as we do more of these, people will get to know you more and more. Because as you said, we want the world to know that we're not robots, we're human beings. And one of the things that makes us epic together is the fact that we are warriors serving other warriors
Yes.
in this battle, right? So we've been there, done that, walk the walk, talk the talk. And so when we say we know where you are coming from, we know
We
where you
know.
are coming from, right? So, you know, I'm saying this to say that there's no way to capture your entire story in just, the next 40 minutes. However, one thing that I know about you is that you believe in taking past adversity or past pain and turning it into your purpose. And, I would like to ask you to speak to that, because yes, I have been wanting you on my team for a very, very long time. And it was this past November during our virtual conference that you committed to joining us officially,
Right.
even though I feel like you've been a part of us for so long. And then in December it became official. So but I'd like you to speak to turning past adversity into an opportunity to walk in purpose right now, and to basically join us. And I mean, even before Epic, you were doing the work, let me just say. So it's not because of Epic that you're doing the work, but we are humbled and blessed to have you as part of our tribe and Epic family doing the work with us. So yes, if you can speak to how you took all of that and and are walking with it now?
First, I'll say I didn't, because
Yeah.
I don't want to give the impression that, I mean, when they see us on the other side, it's what they see here, and we do not look like what we went through. And
Right.
that was the hard part of becoming ill, because it was so sudden. It wasn't as if I got a diagnosis and I knew that eventually it would morph into this. It was, I was literally at work one day in my office doing what I was paid to do. I had just gotten back in the office 3 weeks after maternity leave, so I had, there was a lot of newness in my life.
Mhm.
Exposed to these chemicals and mold that I had no idea was in the atmosphere before me even getting back into work, and my life changed.
Mhm.
And I read of so many different stories, but the thing is, you read about the stories when they're over the hurdle, and you see them now. It was very few people that were willing to be transparent while transitioning. And I
Mhm.
felt guilty because I had all of these emotions that no one seemed to relate to, because they were celebrating. And
Mhm.
here I was, embarrassed, ashamed, unsure, unaware, like the rug had come from under me. And I was used to being superwoman. I was used to being the fixer, the implementer, the executor. And
Mhm.
now all of my help came from outside sources that I wasn't sure of.
Yeah.
So when you say how did I take it, I didn't. I
Mhm.
didn't. And that's the fact of it. To be unsure, to be scared, to be worried is the true essence of dealing with chronic illness.
That's
Um, and I had to um, I had to lose it all. And they say, tear it down to rebuild it stronger. That's
mhm.
what I went through. I got to a point where all I had, literally, Dr. Karen, was my faith. I didn't have a job. If anyone's gone through this journey, you know the nuances of disability. So for a while, I didn't have income. I had this new baby. I had a 16-year-old, and I had my faith and mounting medical bills, and unsure of what the next doctor visit would hold, because for a while, things seemed to get worse before they got better.
Mhm.
I went through depression, later on diagnosed with a few mental illnesses because of it. I felt that my children would be better off without me, because I felt that I had no value at that point.
Mhm.
I was at the top of my career. I was a go-to person at home and professionally. And what do you identify with when all that you identify with is taken?
Yeah.
And I realized, or I thought, that the best parts of me were gone.
Mhm.
So it took months and it took years, and I constantly re invented who I was, in search of purpose, in search of identity. And I felt that, God just wasn't meant to kill me, because if it was, the first time of life support, I would not have survived. The second
Mhm.
time, I would not have survived. This diagnosis, that diagnosis, doctors coming and telling you, we don't know. We're going to send you to this specialist because we don't know. And
Mhm.
even now, I have a clinician who tells me, I was afraid when I got your file. I thought that I was just making you stable until you met your fate, because there was no way, with this
Mhm.
list of illnesses, that there was no way you were going to make it. Um, so I realize now that all of that was purpose. Even the uncertainty, even the doubt, even when you are at your worst and it doesn't seem to make sense, even that's purpose, because it's going to allow you to have the empathy, and it's going to allow you to understand someone else's journey. And our testimonies aren't for us. They are to help others through, because there's someone out there who may not have the faith, who may
Mhm.
not have the support, who may not have the sister who connects them to a Gina, who connects them to a Dr. Karen. And
Yeah.
I can tell you, everything, every tear that you are crying is purpose. Every denial from disability is purpose. Every time you get the bill and it's more month than money, it's purpose. It's all working together for your journey. It's not just the glitz and glam. That's what we like to see because it makes us comfortable,
Yeah.
but it's all purposeful. And if
Yes.
we allow ourselves to realize that and not hurry our journey, because so many times we sit and say, well, when we get to this point, we're going to celebrate. And when we get to that point, we're going to do this. Celebrate now because we're here. Celebrate now because it didn't kill us.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate now because if we can learn to be content in the now, that's when the greater will be added. Because you don't just learn to be content when you're on top. Because look at how many famous people are depressed and unhappy. You
Right.
learn that through the journey of appreciating, you know what? I don't have my job, but look at the time that I have now with my kids. I'm
Yeah.
able to raise my son where schools and daycares and other family members raise my older daughter. I
Mm-hmm.
have an appreciation for life now that I didn't have. I don't wait to open that bottle of wine. I realize life is worth celebrating now.
Yes.
And if I can just say, I think that's a lot of what COVID-19 is all about, giving us time back in our lives to realize what's important, what's first. And people say, I can't wait to go back to normal. And I hope that we don't. There's some normal things that I miss, but I think we all needed to slow down a little bit, because as bad as it was on a lot of ends, it gave you so much of what you needed if you just slow down to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I keep hearing the word gratitude as you speak. I just sense such an immense sense of gratitude for the things that have been added to your life as a result of this journey, which is like a paradox, right? Because the first thing I thought was when you started talking in such a transparent way, and I appreciate your transparency and just being so vulnerable and open to the people, because oftentimes we're very closed off
Right.
for good reason, because we've been through some things and very
Right.
guarded
Right.
towards the medical community, towards medical professionals, towards each other. So this is a very vulnerable time for us. And so I appreciate that so much. But the first words I thought in my mind were, you lost everything. And then yet I hear gratitude
Yes.
for the things that have been added.
Yes. Absolutely. Because it sounds cliche and corny, but it was the things that money can't buy. And sometimes we can think so much of ourselves and we can forget that no man is an island. I thought that I was on top of my game because of what I was doing. I worked hard. I was smart. I was, setting my own pace. I set goals and I reached them. And it was just like, mm-mm, you got to come up off that high horse. And what I have now is greater than what I could have ever imagined in my life, because it's the gratitude. It's not the self-serving attitude that I had. And I was humble to a fault, but I was in my own way. I could have
Mhm,
never reached the people. And I've always had a desire for people. I was a Sunday school teacher. My faith was always strong, but I was in my way because
mhm,
I thought too highly of me, quite honestly. And we can all get big headed in that, when we get our degrees, and I happen to be one who didn't finish my degree, and that's why I was even more big headed. It was like, well, look at where I was able to get without it. I'm in a
mhm.
male dominated world. I'm in a white dominated world as a black woman without a degree. Look at me now. And it was
Mhm.
like, there's so much more out there than what man can give you, because if they can give it to you, they could take it away. And they did. Before I left the office in an ambulance, and I can guarantee that before I made it to the hospital, they were already on with headhunters to fill my position, because companies
Mm,
don't stop. Companies don't stop. They have to keep running.
yeah.
And again, and this is why I say, Epic was a saving grace. Meeting you through Gina was a saving grace, because um, I had people in my corner, and then I selfishly, because we get selfish, I got angry with a lot of them because they couldn't be who I needed them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I now laugh and check myself. And I said, you know what? You are hiring people for positions who ain't never fill out applications for the job. You know, my sister just wanted to be my sister. She didn't
Right.
know how to handle this sick older sister. You know, my
Right.
friends just wanted to be my friends, and they just wanted to talk about shoes and talk about wine
Right.
and next time we were going shopping. And here I needed them to, you know, come to the hospital and wash my back. And I needed them to help me research different medications. And it was like, these people didn't sign up for this. And you're
Right.
upset with them because they're not serving in this capacity and they
Yeah.
don't know how. That is
Right.
not their role now. And with
Right.
Epic, you get a family of hundreds who know what you need and how you need it. Like they are actually filling out the applications to be that in your life. You know, you're in a hospital and you don't know what's going on. You have someone that you can call up and say, I don't feel right about this. Do you have any
Mhm.
insight? You know, someone who can say, I was there. This is what you need to ask, and this is what you need to look for. And you can definitely ask for your medical records. They are your right there. It's yours for the asking. I knew
Mhm.
none of that. I flew blindly trying to get disability because I didn't know what I didn't know. I worked, you know, no, there's no handbook for that. Epic
Yes.
is now your handbook for that. You know, and there's if we don't know, there's plenty of affiliates. We can find out. You don't have to go through this alone, and you don't have to mismanage your current relationships by expecting more of people than what they're able to give. And then even speaking to that, if you have someone in your tribe, in your community who wants to be there in that capacity and don't know how, guess what? We're not just for those who have chronic or invisible illness. We're here for caretakers too. And we can help them navigate how to be there through your new normal. And, you know, what is okay to say or okay not to say, or why is it okay to be upset and angry? Because a lot of people feel embarrassed of having those emotions. They're
Mhm.
your emotions. You're allowed. Like this is life changing. You don't get to go through it without feeling those things. And you're going to revisit those emotions over and over and over again. You know, I am looking like this now, and I'm not going to tell you as soon as it's done, I am going back to my bed because
Okay.
I did more than I should have this weekend. And while I enjoyed it, and I call them my memory makers, everything I do goes into my memory making catalog.
Hmm.
But I need to recoup now,
Right.
you know, and I can look however it is I want to look. My body speaks to me and tells me, no, you're gonna need a few days to recover from that. And only people who go through that understand that, because I found myself doing more harm than good because I wanted to go, 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 go. Because I wanted to match what was on the outside. Because people were saying, well, there's why do you have oxygen? You don't need it. You know, and I wanted to live up to that expectation that they had of me. And when I
Hmm.
tell you, when I gave myself permission to be what was in my medical charts, it was so freeing because
Yes.
only I and my children have to live with this. And I am
That's
not going to hurry myself to the grave living up to the expectations of people who my condition don't even affect.
that's right. That's right. You better preach and say some things. I'm telling you, because so many things that you just said resonated with me, and we have a few people on, and I'll read the comments in a couple minutes, but I'm sure it resonated with a lot of people. But one thing that just hit me was the fact that people on the outside, their projections onto us are based on their false narratives of what chronic illness looks like.
Right.
So we're battling that, because let me tell you, and you and I, we talk all the time because we're an epic family. We are family. Okay.
Yes.
So let me just say, we are not just an organization. Whether you're a part of the Epic team or you are a member, we consider you Epic
Family.
family.
Yes.
So as family, we talk a lot, right? So, but one of the things that we talk about is how we could look glammed up one day, but we seen each other. We looking. I don't even have to finish that. Hair's off,
Yes.
makeup's off,
Like,
everything's like I'm just like, I just got off of this Zoom. Woo!
Like the Mr. Potato Head.
Okay, put everything together, and and it's like, but like you said, thank God we don't look like what we've been through. But at the same time, you hear these stories about handicap placards a lot in the community, and various things like that. People being verbally assaulted because they have a handicap placard. And
that happened to me one time, and I was not as far in my journey as I am now, and I'm in Walmart, and I park in handicap because I'm allowed to. I survived
right,
life support 6 times. Yes, I'm gonna, and it. But I'll tell you, it took me years before I even applied because I was
yeah,
not disabled. Like mentally, I did not catch up with my body for I was in denial.
yeah,
So I have it, and I have the temporary one. I haven't gotten the one on my license plate, and it had fallen, so it was in my dashboard. So I'm parking in
mm-hmm.
handicap. I'm in Walmart, and I'm walking with my little guy, and I hear over the loudspeaker they're announcing a license plate. And I don't know what made me pay attention, but after a while I paid. I said, "This is my license plate. Why are they asking me to come to customer service?" I get to customer service, and they go, "Someone reported you for being in handicap and you're not disabled."
Mm.
So I go into my wallet. You have the placard. You also have the little card that goes in your wallet. I took it out and I handed it to the person. They just shook their head. I said, "Can you call her over the loudspeaker and tell her to come back?" So
Okay, right,
I said, it was a busybody that either just was having a bad day, because if you cared enough to go in and report me, you should have looked enough and you would have seen visibly it was there. It's not like it wasn't there.
right,
It wasn't hanging, but it was on the dashboard. If you looked another second, you would have seen it. So I said,
right,
you know what? If they didn't see it, maybe they had a handicap. So I don't know. But it's just like
yeah,
the judgment of it all. Like,
yeah, yeah,
you are judging me, and not that I'm proud of it, but not that I'm ashamed either. But if we compared our medical records, you would take your hands over mine in a heartbeat. But yet
right,
you sit there with that type of judgment. Shouldn't you be happy that I can have a good day and not look like I need it? Shouldn't that be victory instead of
yeah,
condemnation?
yeah,
Shouldn't it be victory that I can advocate for someone, that I can lay down my problems for a moment to advocate for someone else? Shouldn't that be victory?
yeah,
Why should we look down on people for having a good day when doctors told them that they probably wouldn't have any more at this point? Because I had that said over me. My daughter, she was away at college, I'll never forget, and we were intentional about keeping things from her. And she just knew, because she knew her mom. She knew I was in the hospital, didn't know how bad it was. She left campus 3 hours away, got a ride, came and saw me in the hospital, and that was one of the times I happened to have been on life support.
mm,
Talking to the doctors and talking to the doctors, and my dad tells me after I wake up that she asked, "Is my mom going to be okay?" And the doctor told her, "We don't know."
mm,
How is that for a teenager to hear that? And it was many stories on that over and over again when my parents had to hear that from doctors, because it was one time they took me off life support and immediately had to put me right back on. They don't know. Primary doctors telling me you will most likely be in a wheelchair by the age of 40. I'm 43 and I'm doing a two-step. May
mm.
not be on rhythm, but I'm doing
Okay,
it. But then again, it was never on rhythm, but that's my story. But and it's just like we defy medical odds every day. We
yes,
have enough to contend with in our own medical community. And it will go a long way if outsiders could just extend a little grace. Because everyone wants grace for everything these days. Everyone wants to be excused for what they say, for what they do. And it's like, can we just live? Because that's all we're trying to
yeah,
do, live.
That's right. That's all we trying to do is do more than exist in the world and to live and to thrive.
Exactly. Because exist is just like the bare minimum. It's kind of like
Right.
uh the civil rights. That's just the bare minimum. We don't
Right.
want, why should we just be okay with the bare minimum? Why
That's
should we
right.
just be okay with, okay, well, you're alive, stay in the bed, be bedridden? Why
Yeah.
shouldn't we be able to challenge ourselves, but then have grace if we fall short?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
even within the medical community, it feels like they want to pigeonhole us. Like the moment we don't look like what textbook looks like, they want to write us off.
that's right. That's right. So, it's interesting because, chronic illness is one of those things where people do feel entitled to be judgmental about. And, the one moral that, keeps, you know, uh, playing over and over again is you don't know someone's story until they tell you. You really don't. And particularly invisible chronic illness is one of those things where you cannot tell a person's story. One of the things that COVID-19, I think, um, did for the whole world is it brought an understanding that things can, number one, change in a blink of an eye for
Amen.
anyone
Amen.
without discrimination. You
Warning, nothing.
Yes. I mean, without discrimination, you could be old, young,
It
rich,
leveled the playing
poor.
field.
It levels the playing field. And that, many people who, thank God, have survived COVID-19 have what we've dealt with, which is residual illness and residual issues. So the issues linger, yet these are people who look well.
Right.
And
Right.
yet they are going to have certain specialists for the rest of their lives, certain accommodations for the rest of their lives, and things of that nature. And so, I just ask that we just remember to ask a person what their story is before we project our own narrative onto
Absolutely.
that person. So I definitely heard that, external projection. But the other thing that I'm hearing is the internalized message that we hold for ourselves about what makes up our identities.
Yes. And that is the biggest elephant in the room always, because once we become healthy on who we are, I think a lot of the other things fall into place, because I feel that the external judgment was worse when I wasn't secure. Once
Right.
I got secure and clear, I was able to weed through a lot of things. I was able to do a lot of spring cleaning in my life and recompartmentalize people and
Mm-hmm.
assign roles and
Yeah.
responsibilities to who was on my friendship payroll.
Right.
And then some people, you realize that this is the end of the journey.
Right.
And that's
Right.
and that's okay too. Like you cannot be
Yes.
guilty in protecting your peace and managing your life. And that
Right.
is with personal relationships, that is with healthcare professionals, that's with people that you meet along the way. You have to be the director of your own life and what works for you. You
Right.
have to create boundaries. You have to create those boundaries, because without them, anything and everything will go, and you are not in a position to allow that kind of free for all in your life. Because
That's right.
again, even when you think that you're over it, new things can always happen. Like even though
Yeah.
they consider me stable, I don't know what can possibly come up from the next doctor's appointment.
Right.
So you're
Absolutely.
always having to reevaluate yourself and restate your purpose and reaffirm yourself within this illness. Like it's not a one-time thing. You're always having to forgive yourself, because we go I'll speak for myself. I go through a lot of mommy guilt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel guilty about the things I was able to do with my daughter, who's 16 years older than my little guy. And then I feel guilty about the time that I'm able to spend with my little guy that I wasn't able to spend with my 16-year-olds. And it's like, okay, I mean, you always have to parent children based on who they are, but it's like, how do I parent them when they didn't grow up the same? Because usually that's the thing. The kids, they all grow up the same, but they didn't. My older daughter grew up with a very different mommy than my younger son. How do I navigate these two different children who grew up two different ways? And
Yeah.
the same with my family. How do I, um, because they were used to me being a certain way, how do I still become valuable in their lives being different?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just all, you just always feel like you have to justify who you are to people. And I realized, no, I don't. You know, I'm different, and it was to no fault of my own. And I'm different to you, and it's to no fault of your own. But if the
Yeah.
relationship meant anything, we will find our way in this newness, because the fact of the matter is people evolve every day anyway, even absent illness. So because we're ever changing, because we're people, and evolution takes place in our life always, if relationships are meaningful, you'll get over the hurdle. And what falls off wasn't necessary to your development. Because I always say the universe is not going to leave us without those people who are necessary to our journey. So if a thing or a person falls off, they weren't necessary to your journey. So I have less guilt in trying to maintain what shouldn't be maintained, because I need my energy to maintain my health.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. With strong conviction. And that is very difficult because we go through something that we don't talk about a lot in the community is the loss experience. And part of that is identity. um, the loss of the person we once knew. And again, redefining who we are, not just one time, but throughout time, because it's definitely not a linear process. It's
Right.
a very layered process,
That's an
very
understatement.
circular process.
Right.
And so, it's not just as you go from step A to B to C to D.
Right.
It's a very layered process. And so I hear you talk about, these multiple things that, you felt created your identity, as a mother, as a professional, as a friend, as a family member, all these things that you feel you lose when you become ill. And especially through these journeys, which, we'll learn more about your journey. And I mean, it just feels surreal to me when I hear 6 times on life support. I mean,
Right.
just the things that some of us have been through are just unimaginable. But I mean, imagine trying to connect to an identity in the midst of all of that,
Oh, it's not gonna happen. It's not
right?
gonna happen unless you fool yourself. Because there were many times that I thought, okay, I found the secret, I got the formula, only to not have it, because you begin to trick yourself out of a coping mechanism. You like
Yes.
you want to, like, not even to fool anyone else. Like, you get over the point of having to fool others. You really want to fool yourself that you're okay, that you're
Yeah.
better off than what you are, because it's to deal with the reality. Sometimes when you don't have proper support, it will drive you batty. And
Yeah.
even that's okay. And you have to realize that these phases are fine, because people make it seem like to be depressed is a bad thing. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, we don't want you to stay there. But if you just heard this news and you're ready to go out and party, I think something is wrong with that.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need to sit with those emotions, and especially if you are a parent, because what does that mean? I it was times when I thought, am I going to see, my daughter was 16 and was a junior in high school, and as close as she was to graduating high school, I wondered, am I going to be here to see that?
Mhm.
that that's a different level of emotions. And to
Yeah.
say that you're not going to be sad, you're not going to be depressed,
Yeah.
who tells you that you're not allowed to have those moments?
That's right.
That is, I mean, I think it's just as healthy as being able to work through it and get on the other side. It's all valid because they're your feelings. And again, we don't want to stay in those moments, but you have to have them. You have to work through them because it's
Yeah.
again, it's all purposeful.
Yes.
It's all going to make sense later. And if you jip yourself out of those opportunities to feel those emotions, you're not getting the essence of your true journey because you're going to be back here again. Chronic
Yeah.
illness, you're going to be back here again, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. And I always say that it's not about getting over it or getting past it. It's about working through it and moving through it. You can't get to the
Perfect.
other side unless you walk through the forest. So, yes, what you're speaking to, being mindful and present in whatever state that you're in,
Right.
that is so very important. But I'm glad that you're speaking to that. And we're speaking about things like identity and things like that, because this is part of what Epic does. We talk about the psychological journey of invisible chronic illness. And, you know, I think you would agree with the fact that, especially when we're trying to survive these things, we are so focused on being well versed in the medical stuff and in our physical symptoms that we ignore the psychological part of this whole process.
Right. Right. Because I remember because like I said, my faith was always important to me. I had a lot of people that were believers, and you would not believe the number of people that asked me, "Well, where is your faith?"
Mm-hmm.
As if I was doubting God, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like they're not always intertwined. You can have feelings and still be a believer because we are not God. We are natural, living a natural existence, and we're going to think naturally, we're going to think humanly, and he knows this, and this is why he
Yeah.
gives grace and mercy and forgiveness. And it's just that I felt bad, and didn't feel like I can be transparent because I had these people judging me on every end, and it was just like, well, am I right in feeling this way, or did I do something wrong to cause this? And I knew logically I didn't. But
Mm-hmm.
people, people that I trusted made me feel um like I was committing some type of blasphemy for wondering why.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that is not a bad question. It gives God a chance to reveal himself to you when you're
Mm-hmm.
weak. Because he will give us strength in our weakness. If we're always strong, what do we need him for? If we're
Yeah.
always sure, why do we need a higher being? If we're always provided for, why do we need a higher being? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like what they were expecting was just the opposite of who he said he would be for us. So it's
Yeah.
like, no, I didn't lose my faith, but I'm going through something that he's going to use to shake it and strengthen it. Because
Mm-hmm.
that is what journey is about. How many times, did he wake up the dead, allow the blind to see? So it was through the adversity that he showed himself. And we aren't any different. Those
Yeah.
miracles weren't just for the Bible. We are present day miracles, and miracles can't happen without disaster, without
Mm-hmm.
adversity. You don't
Yeah.
get to go to riches without it being rags. And every great story you hear of the beginning being a wonderful mess. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why we enjoyed the outcome so much more because no one could have ever called it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we are all of us at Epic. It's like you would have never been able to imagine it. And
Yeah.
that's what makes us epic because, like you said, we didn't hurry through it. We didn't ask it to be removed. We are still in our journey, and the
Mm-hmm.
journey continues until its finality, until it's
That's
over.
right.
We are
That's right.
always you don't get over it. You
Yeah.
work through it
You work
every
through it
day. It's a
every
12
single
step
day.
it's like a 12-step program without 12 steps.
Right.
Because there's no 12
Right.
steps. Everybody is unique to your own journey, but it's an everyday renewing of your mind,
That's right.
every day dealing with judgment, every day having anxiety because you don't know what tomorrow brings. I had a fantastic weekend. I know I'm going to need time to recover. How much time? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's the unanswered
absolutely.
question. But I thank God that I'm in a position that I can give myself time to recover, and that I've come to terms with it. So I give myself grace while I'm recovering, and I don't compound it by now judging myself or
That's right.
trying to push myself to do things that's beyond what I can do at this point.
That is absolutely right. I'm telling you, you have really, really touched me. And I've heard your story so many times, but every time I hear it, I just want to do a dance. I'm just telling you.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, I am so grateful that you are here with us, that God has kept you on this earth, because you definitely, definitely have a purpose. And I just want to speak to something you said, that about faith, and I call it faith shaming. And I've been through that as well, where people faith shame us because actually sometimes merely for being ill. You didn't have enough faith, that's why you're sick, sort of thing.
Right.
Right. But it takes faith to go through this journey. It really does. Before I read the comments, I want to remind everyone of our mission statement. You know what? Before I do that, let me go ahead and read the comments, and then I'll end with the mission. And then we'll sort of talk about what we're going to address next Membership Mondays with Maria. But we have someone named Charlene with us that said, "Thank you both for everything you do. We Cushies are always looking for someone to relate. Don't you know it?" And you talked about not being pigeonholed into a box. And even within the Cushing's community,
Right.
we're vastly different. You have spoken to steroid induced Cushing's. Some of us have I had a pituitary tumor. Some of us have adrenal tumors. Some of us have tumors that are ectopic or in a different part of the body. Some people with Cushing end up with adrenal insufficiency. Some people end up in remission after one surgery. And some people with steroid-induced Cushing's do see some improvement with changes in medication, and some people, it lasts for a lifetime. We're all in different situations,
Right.
but one thing for sure is we're all family.
Absolutely.
And we all relate to this journey. All of us. So I love that. We have someone named Rachel who made a couple of comments. She said, "I resonate so much with what you say, Maria. The journey for me was one of acceptance for the way things are now, letting go of control, and gratitude for what is.
Absolutely.
Love to you, fellow warrior."
Thank you, Rachel.
I heard that. And she says, "Love to you both." Thank you so much, Rachel. A Facebook user, we can't see your name. I'm so sorry. If we go to Facebook Live, we'll be able to see your name a little bit later. But if you don't sign up for StreamYard, it doesn't let us see your name right now. But you said, "God bless you," and this is so true. So she was something that you said earlier resonated. Rachel says, "I think sometimes people find it easier to simplify things through their judgments, and visible illness enables that further." So very true.
Yes.
Can't see it.
Right.
And then she also said, "I think you have to digest all your emotions, otherwise they'll come back up again and again, and our peace of mind and well-being will suffer further."
Amen. Yes.
Right? So we have to acknowledge what is. Yes. Without apology.
Right.
Right? So thank you. And she said that our talk has uplifted her. If we can uplift one person today.
Yes. Absolutely. It was worth it.
You were worth it. You were worth it. So thank you for that feedback. I am so excited. I am really excited. This is a part of our mission. Our mission statement is that we provide the support, the advocacy, and tools to empower chronically ill patients, and don't forget about the caregivers caregivers to thrive. And let me tell you the definition of empowerment. To empower means to make someone stronger in claiming their rights. Did y'all know that?
That's a
What
word.
empowers.
That's a word.
That is
Right
according
there.
to the dictionary. Look it up. Make someone stronger in claiming their rights. So
Their
we
right.
empower you to claim your right to ...
I
Okay.
love it. I
And
love it.
and to thrive. So we empower you to thrive. And what does it mean to thrive? To thrive means to flourish despite adversity, no matter how long it takes.
See, I needed this 10 years ago, but it's not late that I'm getting it now because you get what you need when you need it. And I'm
That's
just so thankful to be a part of a foundation that has a heart for people, that truly, truly cares for people. Um, Guys, if you only knew the heart of Dr. Karen, if you just knew the passion and desire for how she wants to change the stigma of chronically ill people and those with invisible illnesses. Um, it's humbling that she saw fit to allow me because I'm not participating without her allowing me because this is her baby. And we all know if we're parents or entrusted to be guardians of someone, we all know how protective we are with our babies. And Epic is a third child of hers. And for her to allow me with something that's so fragile and delicate, I'm humbled over and over again because I know that this is something that I was called to do. You don't just go through what I go through or what many others go through without it being a purpose attached to it. And I
yes.
always say, I don't want to make the mistake this time around that I did the first time around by thinking too much of myself. And you know, sometimes doctors will make me have a big head, like they look at my files. We've never had a patient who was on life support 6 times. Like we have never had a patient that is dependent on the milligrams of steroids that you're dependent on every day and look the way that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And some a part of me want to, I want to flex, like I'm
Yeah.
this chick. But I say this time around, let me not make that mistake and let me realize what it's about and who did that. It's not me doing it in and of myself, because if it was us that was able to do this for ourselves, we would all be well. Because isn't that what we would all wish for ourselves?
That's
So it's
right.
it's not us. It's about coming together in collaboration and encouraging one another. Because I had a great encourager, which allows me to speak the way that I do, and we want to be your encourager. So if
Yes.
you're not at the point now, and like Dr. Karen talked about earlier, COVID-19 is going to bring on a whole new set of people that deal with chronic illnesses, residual illnesses, and invisible illness, and they're in limbo now. They don't know
Yes.
where they fit in. They don't have COVID, so they're not part of the COVID community, but they don't know what these illnesses or what this residual damage is.
Yeah.
We're your people. We have so many people that are undiagnosed, that are misdiagnosed, that are still trying to cope with diagnosis. We
Yes.
are your people, and caregivers, you're not left out because you are just as important to the journey. Because
That's right.
sometimes it's, when it's not the doctors that can get through, and when it's not us, you guys are the frontliners. So you are just as important. We are here. We ask that you share again, that you tell a
Yes.
friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We
Yeah.
make being sick nothing to be embarrassed about, nothing to
That's
be
right.
ashamed about. We are all in different parts of the journey, but it's a journey nonetheless. And we
That's
meet you
right.
where you are.
That is absolutely right. We sure do. We do. We meet you where you are. Rachel just wanted to share one last thing. She said she was diagnosed after 20 years living with this disease, Cushing's. She said, "I'm so grateful to have eventually been treated, but I have yet to forgive myself for what I lived through. I blame myself for my health, and now I have a new life with adrenal insufficiency. I feel determined to live life to the fullest, the way I feel each day." She said, "You are wonderful." And let me just say how humbled we are by your participation, Rachel. I too am a Cushing survivor turned into an adrenal insufficiency thriver. So I can definitely relate. So you and I, we will be talking. But I understand that perpetual that just consistent self-blame that just comes up over and over again. And that is something I want to touch on next time too with you, Maria. I would love to pick up on what it means for you in your own life to be empowered to thrive, which you've spoken on today. I would love that. And also, I would love to give our audience members an opportunity to ask you questions. So that is where we're going to pick up the next time. We're going to talk about empowerment to thrive with chronic illness and the various chronic illnesses that you have. And how about it? You want to answer some questions for our audience?
Bring them. And
let's bring these questions
to our website. If you're not a member, go to our website and join. We love that you like the pages, but it is something special about being a member, so become a member, join with us, officially partner with us, get those questions in. I am an open book. Let's have some fun together. Let's erase the negative stereotypes of being sick or having to apologize, be embarrassed or ashamed. Come bear it all. Who knows what I will look like the next time. And I'm not apologizing for it. It is what it is. I think I've earned the right, as we all have. So yes, I'm for it. I am here for it, as the kids say. I am here
as the young folks say, right?
Yes, so, I got time.
We got time, right? So yes, as the young folks say, because I got an 18-year-old myself who thinks I'm old, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, but epictogether.org, on all of our social media, Epic Together, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn, Epic Together. Our website is www.epictogether.org. Go on our page. Up on the top, you will see where you can join as a member for free. We'll talk about that next time as well. All the benefits that you can get. And it costs
you free. For free.
It costs you nothing but bringing yourself to the table. Last thing I will say is, if you are on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, Epic Together. Subscribe to our channel, share, and if you like it, because that helps us to reach more people. Does it not? Yes. All right. Maria, it was great talking to you. Let's continue being epic together.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember that. Together we are what? Epic. That's right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Have a great one, guys. See you soon.